tall enough for this thing. So I'm Clarice James. I'm the executive director for Mirror Resources. I'm going to give you guys just kind of a quick overview of the program, and then if you guys have any questions afterwards or any advice, because I definitely need it. Okay, so Mirror Resources. So this is kind of a brief overview of it. Our program is dedicated to working with migrants, immigrants, refugees, and asylees. So it's a nonprofit, so all the help that we do with the families is free for the families.
So can we just make sure you're talking?
Sorry, can you hear me well?
Just want to make sure the folks at home can hear you.
No, it's okay. So yeah, so the program, the work program works with migrants, immigrants, refugees, and asylees. That's actually where we had gotten a name from. It's like an acronym for that. We work with connecting them to local resources because once they come here, they're not familiar with any of the resources in the community because of either language barriers or just being new to the area, as well as some of the areas that they're coming from, especially the refugees, they might not even know that some of the resources exist. So we work with connecting them with local resources. We also provide them with actual in-person activities. So we have free English classes for the adults, free citizenship classes. We have tutoring on an as-needed basis. We have a weekly clothes, food, and book drive, bank. So they can actually come and they can get free clothing, free books, free food. And I get that donated from local community resources. And then we have a monthly job and health fair. So then different local health networks will come and they give advice on how to obtain health insurance. And also we're looking at having dental and vision vans come in as well on that day. And for the job portion is different job agencies from the Lehigh Valley that come in. For the referral part of the program, that's actually a really big part of the program. Again, like we refer them to we do a little outsourcing. So there's so many community organizations out there, but the families don't know about them. So for example, we refer them to programs for food, clothing, jobs, health needs, insurances, housing, attorney consults, after school programs, and interpreters. So there's definitely like a lot of resources out there. Just kind of getting them connected to everything is what we kind of strive to do. The channels that we use, we have a partnership with the school districts. So especially with the ESOL departments, because a lot of the families coming in, they are English is their second language, and the ESOL departments, they have a lot of connections with them. So they refer families to us, as well as social media. We have our Facebook and Instagram platforms that we're going to be having going live in August, which is coming up. And then we have our flyers up and business cards in local shops and stores in Center City, which is where most of the families reside due to them being low income. And then other organizations in the Valley, since we do a lot of like referrals to them, then they kind of refer the families to us for them needing help. Revenue streams. So, and since it's a nonprofit, the families don't need to pay for anything, but we do have a few streams that we're looking at. So there's definitely, we're looking at applying for grants, local funding, and I'm sorry, my vision is like horrible. Or there are actually organizations in different states. So just because a program doesn't exist here in this area with a similar goal doesn't mean that there's not a program in a different state that might have a similar goal, and they might be able to give us some funding. So, and yep, so this program I developed, it's actually fairly new. So I really actually just came up, it's been 2 months, so very, very new. And we have a board, so the board members help me kind of make decisions and everything, go over everything that we have. And we really have a lot of volunteers. So from the local universities, they help us a lot with the ESL classes, citizenship classes, and the tutoring. And so that is the program. So if you guys have any questions and advice, I am here.
Great, thank you. All right, so we're going to go ahead and just open it up for the question and answer session. As I said before, let me come up here so folks can hear me.
No, it's okay.
As I said earlier, if you have a question and you're watching us from home, please just say you have a question in the chat screen and we will call on you. Folks in the room, please, before you ask your question, make sure you have a microphone in your hand. So with that, I'll let anybody in the room start. Rita will hand you a microphone.
Hi, I'm Rita.
Hi.
I would like to ask two questions.
Yes.
One is, have you considered also letting churches know, churches that serve the, I guess, the language or faith community of the people, families that you're trying to serve? Because very often that's a beginning point for someone coming into a community. They find their faith community, and that's a really great place to know about resources. The other question is, can you put the first slide up again? There we go. Okay, so I want to know, thank you. I want to know what was your motivation for starting this organization?
Okay, great. So your answer to the first question is, as far as the churches in Bethlehem, so Bethlehem and Easton, we haven't really connected with any churches so far yet that are specifically geared towards helping the population. But in Allentown, we connected with there's a church, the Episcopal Church of the Mediator. They actually works really closely with refugees once they come in. So we have where is it? The weekly clothing, book, and food drive, and the job and health fair. That's actually held out of their church. So that is where that's where we have a connection with them. So I'm definitely looking for more churches though that are focused on helping different, these specific populations. So if you guys do have any in mind, please. And what made me start this program? So I've always wanted to work with people from different countries, and I have a little one, so I can't go far away. So I ended up looking for different programs where I can help them once they come here and help them here. So I worked with migrant education. I don't know if anyone's really familiar with it. So I worked with them for 4.5 years. And it's a great program. So it's a program that helps migrant families get kind of up to pace with their education and connect them with after school programs and get them into after school programs. So I worked really closely with that program for a while and I loved it. They still have my whole heart. But there wasn't really a program that existed where you could kind of help all of these populations and also with all of these different necessities that they need. So there's different programs out there, but none that really encompass all of it together. And that's what I kind of wanted to do. So yep, that's it.
Thank you.
My question, actually it's a comment. Last week, presenters were high school students that went to an entrepreneurial camp. And one of the presentations was exactly along the line. So if you want to get in touch with Raj or anybody else with 1 Million Cups, I'm sure they would be glad to volunteer. They were building an app to do a lot of the things that you were suggesting. So I think there's some enthusiasm, and I'm not sure, they may be from the Allentown area. So,
yeah, I had attended that last week. I think it was Blemos that they prayed. Was that the one that you were talking about? Yeah, I was like, that is so cool. And I was actually just talking to him about that because they were looking at focusing on the ESL portion of it and helping the adults. And yeah, that'd be an amazing addition into our ESL portion. So it was really great.
Hi, that's where I know you from, because I work with the immigration program. I think you
okay.
may have been in one of their earlier in the year presentations. We have the Hispanic Center here in Bethlehem. We have the Community Action Development of Lehigh Valley.
Yeah.
I would suggest maybe piggybacking on some of those events. We're going to have the Hispanic Heritage event September 15th at Touchstone Theater. If you would like to have a table to promote your services, I would gladly facilitate that for you.
That'd be great. Yeah, I remember I went to it, what was it, last year? Did they have it last year?
No.
No, was it, okay, they had it the year before. I remember going to it, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. I went to it
It's right
through
here.
Migrant Ed, yeah.
I'll ask a question.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm noticing you do a lot with the migrants, immigrants, refugees. But also, what about those that have been in the country for a while and maybe considered illegals? Is there anything that you do to help them become legal?
So, yeah, so we're able to refer them to local immigration services. So we have a partnership with two different local immigration attorneys, and they provide them with like free consults on how they're able to do get started in the process and continue in the process. And yeah, so we work, it's migrants, immigrants, refugees, and asylees. And a lot of people like don't know that it's actually, you don't have to be here for just 1 month to be considered a migrant. You could have been here for like 5, 8 years to be considered a migrant, or same thing with refugee and asylee. So some of those categories actually last like a certain amount of time, so years. And that's why I wanted to be able to help those families, regardless if they're here for a month, a day, or if they're here for like 3, 5 years. Because I've met families that they're here for like 3, 5 years and they still aren't familiar with the resources, or they still like aren't able to get in contact with all of the like health insurance, anything like that. So yeah, we're able to help them too.
First and foremost, congratulations. I think I love what you're trying to accomplish. Dave hit on some points from last week. It'd be great to get some of those kids involved.
Yeah.
Couple quick questions. Is there a website that you have developed for more information that we can drive to?
Yeah, so we're creating it right now. We're creating the website, the Facebook, and the Instagram. So we want it up live by next week. So hopefully we have it up live, and then I can give the information to you guys or to him. Yeah, do that way.
And you have on there school districts. Have you made contact with school districts?
Yeah, so
Okay.
I work closely with the school districts through Migrant Ed for the years that I was with them, and they're all familiar with me because of that. And they all like know that I have this kind of getting started, so they're excited to be involved with it.
And then the last thing, obviously, you're in infancy, trying to get the word out. That's most important. So suggestions would be, networking events like you're doing right here, but I don't know if you've entertained the Chamber of Commerce as an opportunity to join that, to get the word out. Again, I'm not sure if there's any nonprofit discounts for the membership or things like that, but there are so many opportunities to reach out and get your word out, because I think you're hitting a lot of touch points, especially in this day and age. So congratulations and best of luck.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd love to join the Chamber of Commerce meetings. I just don't even know how to even go about that. So yeah.
I can tell you, they also have a membership of $99, introductory membership, renewal at $299 the second year, and then it goes up to $500.
But that's negotiable.
It's negotiable.
They all go, it's negotiable.
Everything is negotiable.
Especially with a
Nonprofit, absolutely. But for $99, you get huge exposure. And then they have a segment, they have a chamber within a chamber, the Hispanic chamber. I'm on the board there, so maybe we can talk offline without contact.
That'd be great.
Yeah, quick question for you. So, under the COVID mitigation that we're going through, and it's still changing in some flux, have you had any specific challenges in trying to work with the community that you've seen this year?
So working with the community that like we're serving, or working with like the partners?
Both.
With both. So It's interesting because like I mentioned, for the ESL classes and the citizenship classes, they're actually going to be virtual. And prior to the pandemic, I had them in person because I was just volunteering and doing them. Because yeah, all of this stuff that I basically have in the program, I've just been volunteering for years and doing already. So that's where I kind of got the idea, like, might as well make it to a program. But I used to do it in person, excuse me, and I used to get about like 10 people in person, and then I ended up having to switch to virtual because of the pandemic. And we ended up having like up to 24 people in the ESL class virtually. And they were from this area, they were from outer areas, so like Reading, Poconos, and even we had people in the ESL and citizenship classes that were in Puerto Rico and Colombia and DR. And like they were hearing about the classes like from family members here. So that's why we ended up keeping that portion of it virtual. But as for the tutoring, that's going to be either virtual or in person at a library, depending on what the volunteers and the students kind of discuss. But as far as really getting out to the families, we haven't had too much trouble. They're really kind of okay with everything like that. And partnerships have gotten harder because we haven't been able to do as much in-person connections like this, because this really helps a lot. And even like meeting people, it's definitely has a more of a connect than just like sending an email like, hey, this is my nonprofit, want to help? So, but yeah, now everything is kind of getting back to normal, hopefully. So now we can do more stuff like this and be able to get some more help and support.
So a couple of questions actually. So do you have a physical location right now that people can go to, and I'll have you put up your information at the end of the session on the screen. There will be a replay of this available to you. So folks who are tuning in, you can reach out to if you need to. I spoke to you briefly about this the other day when we were talking about the session today. There's a number of groups in the area. CACLB comes to my mind, that works with subsidiaries. And I think it might be worth a conversation for you to, talk to them to see if there's a fit for your program within their program. And they help provide funding as well. So I don't know if other folks in the room know other organizations that may be looking to contribute or to have them as a part of what they do. That might be a good idea.
Yeah, we were talking about that yesterday, the other day, and that's amazing. That would be great. I have been like looking at other programs that exist and seeing if they'd be interested in adding on our program. I haven't really figured out which ones to kind of go towards. So definitely CACLV will contact for that. And I don't know if anyone has a contact for them in here, but as far as the in-person office, we actually haven't had a need to have anything an office in person, because the food drive and the health and job fair, those are in person, those are over the church. And then for the classes, those are virtual. And then as far as like us helping them get in contact with different resources and referring them to different community organizations, that's basically just like, I have my phone number out there, they give me a call, and I'm able to like refer them right away. So we haven't really actually found a need to have an office yet.
Hi, Gary Shaw. Actually, to kind of piggyback on the physical location, Bridgeworks Enterprise Center in Allentown has a shared workspace. It's $60 a month. If you need a physical space for a short period of time, you could go there, and it's literally pay as you go. So you could literally go in, pay for a month. You have access to their Wi-Fi, printers, coffee, etc. So that might be an option for a, pop-up location, so to speak. But in terms of your outreach, you have a lot of moving parts in terms of, the website, food and clothing drives, outreach to services and outreach to families. And I apologize if you'd mentioned this earlier and I missed it, but how big a staff do you have? Because it seems like a lot of work for a single person to try and stay on top of everything.
So no, yeah, thank you. So for the first part, for the office space, what did you say it was called again?
Bridgewater Enterprise Center. I can give you my card and, information on it.
Okay, that's awesome. I never heard of that. That's really cool. It is technically just me. Yes. So it is technically just me, but I have my board members that help me with giving me advice for different programs that I present. And we have so much support from the community, like a lot of support. And I think it's just because I've worked in the community for so long, so a lot of them know me. So that might be why, but we have, as far as like the partners, they're always willing to help with their referrals. So a lot of them, since they're familiar with me already, I just give them a call and I give them like a family's information or give the family their information. And then that referral is done right away. So I'm really the only person doing the referrals as of now. So that's kind of what I majorly like spend most of my time with. For the events where we have like the donations and everything, or with the ESL classes and citizenship classes, the volunteers that we get, they help so much. So like local high schools and local universities, they give us the volunteers. So for the ESL class and the citizenship class and the tutoring, that comes from the volunteers from the university. So they're always like interested in helping and teaching with that. And then for the events, that's mostly like the high school volunteers. They kind of just help me do like organization and like stuff like that. So yeah, so it is just me, but but the volunteers in the community help a lot. So thankfully.
Any other questions? Okay.
Go back to the slide. I was wondering, on the stuff you say you offer, like the ESL classes and tutoring, is any of that specifically offered by you, or are you just connecting them with the resources that you know are available?
So no, so that specifically, everything that's up in the value proposition, that's specifically offered by us. Oh, it went away. But yeah, that's specifically offered by us. So we do all of that. But there are so many like different programs out there. So if, for example, like someone can't attend our English class, I know of other English classes that I can refer them into, and vice versa. So like I have partnerships with like, just for example, for the English class. So I have partnerships with other people who run English classes. And if a student can't make it to their English class, they'll refer them to mine. So it's like we also have like the the programs, but we're also able to refer them to other programs too. Because as many resources, the better for the people who are looking for the resources.
One more thing, sorry. So if they are your English classes, you said they're all online for now, right?
Yeah. So we're having them virtual, just because I do miss like being in person with it. So the college students, they're doing the classes. So I'm just so used to like me saying that I'm doing, because I used to do them. But we miss being in person. But again, like having it virtual, we're able to reach so many more people in so many different areas. So that's why we kept those two portions virtual.
Just one more thing quickly, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Keep asking questions. You're good.
So for now, obviously, online might be what people want, but eventually people are probably going to want a switch to in-person. Is there any plan for that?
Yeah, so we used to have our English class. I used to run it out of a local church, so in Allentown. So I would just kind of transition and make it back to there. Or I might even do like some classes still in person, some classes still online, depending on how many volunteers I have at the time. But it would just, yeah, I would love to be back in person, but I would hate to like not be able to reach as many people as we've been reaching. So that's the only thing. But so hopefully we'll be able to like have the two.
I'm assuming you're associated with the Literacy Center also?
The literacy center is great. Yeah, I used to partner with them before and like refer. So yeah, so they're actually one of the partnerships that, you know, if they can't, the students can't go to their class, they'll come to mine, or if they can't come to my class, I'll send them to theirs. So yeah, they're really great.
So I have another question. What nations have been represented in the clients you've served?
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Or nations or languages or both?
Okay, so we have a big Hispanic community. So they're from, you know, everywhere from Colombia, DR, PR. We have families from Guatemala. That's really about it for our Hispanic families. We have a few from Mexico, a few. For families from Africa, we have definitely a big population from families from Africa. They are from mainly Eritrea, Ethiopia, Democratic Republic of the Congo, and I always say it wrong. It's Tanzania.
Tanzania?
I always say it wrong, and it's so funny because they always correct me. I'm like, I don't know why I can't get this right. But yeah, so they're mostly from those areas, and we have students from Sudan, and I think that might be it for Africa. And then we actually have a lot of new families coming in this past 2 years from Afghanistan. So there's like a lot of families from Afghanistan. So yeah. It's great. It's interesting to see like every year the different populations like that come in, they change. So it's like sometimes like it's mainly people from Africa or mainly people from Afghanistan or mainly Hispanic people. So it's interesting to see, but it's cool because then we're able to kind of help all of them. And we have different interpreters that we've connected with. So they're able to kind of help with, we basically have about every language covered, which is nice, thankfully. But another thing with the virtual that actually you mentioned that I forgot to mention is I have friends over who live in Africa or who live in different countries, and they actually do we have interpreters here, but we actually have interpreters that live over in those areas and they virtually interpret for us. So if I can't find an interpreter here, it's sometimes fun.
You're so resourceful.
Yeah, you are. Do you have and maybe you could just share the slide that you showed today. I guess it just pretty much summarizes everything you do. But I'd like personally to get a copy of that. So I'll give you my email address.
Yeah,
To
definitely.
do that. So it's not really a question. It's
It's yeah, I gotta
a
do.
point I wanted to make. I need to get that. Okay. Any other questions? Folks out there on the Zoom session, any questions out there? Okay, well, so first of all, thank you for coming today.
Yeah, no, thank you so much.
I do have one last question. If there is one thing that you need help with today, if you want to sum it up in the most important thing, how can this group help you?
Oh my goodness, you guys have helped me with a lot of different ideas. So I would say really, I mean, volunteers are always needed. Because again, yeah, it's really just kind of me at the end of the day. So if anyone ever has any other good networks to where I can gain volunteers from, that'd be great. And also always a thing with nonprofits is funding. So funding is something that I'm not really familiar. I've worked with nonprofits for years, but I've never, running your own nonprofit and working with nonprofits is a totally different ballgame. So I'm not too familiar with going about getting funding for the program, but I'm learning about it slowly. So if anyone has any advice or tips for that, that's definitely something.
Great. Well, Clarice, thank you so much. That's Clarice James, and the name of her company is Mira Resources. And feel free, and please do reach out to anyone and everyone that you saw today, and they can help. So, okay, with that, we're gonna end the show today. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot one important thing. Here's your 1 million cup for coming and presenting today. Thank you so much. Thank you for reminding me, Christine. I appreciate it. Okay, well, that's going to end our presentation today. We have a network session which continues here. Dave has a question?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Good point. Does anyone have any announcements to make? And I will pass the microphone around. I know, I was walking over here naturally.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
Hey, everyone. I'm sure you're all wondering when the next coffee talk is. It's Thursday, August 19th from 10 to 11:30. I'm going to have a guest speaker, Jennifer Bright, who is the owner of Bright Communications. She is leads a team of former Rodale writers, editors, and publishers. She's the publisher and co-curator of my book, Success Reimagined. And the topic for this coffee talk session is going to be about writing books. If you have a book that you're interested in writing, either writing it yourself or having it ghost written for you, fiction, nonfiction, any kind of book, she's going to discuss what you need to know. The other thing is, this is going out to November, save the date, the evening of Thursday, November 4th. I'm returning to my events at Muhlenberg College, and we're going to have a special program called Mindful Leadership. And our speakers are Ann Alexander, who's the former editor of mindful.org and Mindful Magazine, and Liz Summers. And this is going to be a really great event that we do every year, except when we're having a global pandemic. So again, that's Thursday evening, November 4th. Save the date. Anyone else?
Anyone else? Okay, while I have the stage, I have a couple announcements myself. The Punk and Preppy show, which most of you know is a live stream show on Facebook. August 5th, we have a special a guest show. Peter Johnson, who is a famous musician in Ireland. We will be doing a special presentation about Peter Johnson that day. And the session starts at 2 o'clock on August 5th. If you don't know Punk and Preppy, you just go on to Facebook, Punk and the letter N, Preppy, and I hope you guys can join us. Also, my wife, as you know, is also in a punk rock band called Resting Punk Face. They'll be performing August 14th on the Wooden Match stage during Music Fest, and we hope you all can join us for that as well. So with that, any more announcements? Okay, we'll end the session and we'll start our network session. Clarice, feel free to stick around and speak with everybody and have some fun and have lots of coffee, guys. Thanks.
Oh my God, coffee.